Last week, we went over 5 characters in competitive Mortal Kombat that are super underpowered and struggled at the highest level of play. This week, let's go into the opposite direction, because I fancy talking about some broken stuff. The more common thing you see in tournament play for any fighting game is the use of top-tier characters, especially later down the line in tournament. The reality is pro players will use the best chance to win, and if that involves using a character that is statistically better than most of the others, it just makes sense. This isn't always the case for every player, obviously, but it's growing more common year after year. With that said, Mortal Kombat as a franchise is no stranger to broken characters that are definitely top tier. Today's video covers 5 of those examples. Now, these characters aren't banned or anything, but they break the rules in certain ways, or are simply just a clear cut above everyone else, and that's just the way it is. I love broken stuff. Let's get stuck in. When I talk about MK Armageddon, I often refer to the top tiers being unbelievably good, but I almost rarely get to talk about who those top tiers are, besides Serena, really. Well, that changes a bit today as we finally get to discuss Scorpion in this game, who is said by many Armageddon players to be #1 in the tier list. Maybe that changed back in the day thanks to old school netcode, but people don't really play on that in 2022. The weird thing about Scorpion here is that in all 3 of the 3D titles from the PlayStation 2 era, Scorpion was always really strong. But he did receive some changes in Armageddon from Deception. He is a much simpler character here, but truthfully it doesn't matter, because he's still in many ways a perfect and extremely easy to play character. Scorpion standing 3 in hand-to-hand is obnoxiously good at tracking, to the point where it feels like it just doesn't miss. This move leads to a full combo and is safe, but at the same time, just the standing 3 on hit on its own is amazing. This is because it goes hand in hand with a low string, which allows Scorpion to enforce a mix-up that he's never really at risk for. Scorpion is given a new throw in Armageddon, which does more damage than the previous installments, but this is a trade-off from having a new teleport, which isn't as strong. It's not a game about teleports really though, unless you have the disappearing style of teleport that Meat or Smoke have, for instance. At any point you land something that is plus enough on hit, just go in for the throw and add a bunch of extra damage. Scorpion was given a new string in Armageddon, which is 2-3 stance change. This does great damage on its own, and it will knock them down. This knockdown is not a free unblockable hellfire like you might have seen online somewhere, but if they don't tech roll, it does hit for extra damage. Damage output off his spear is incredible. You're looking at half life if a spear hits you, which might not work standalone, but if you're whiff punishing or something, it is incredibly scary damage to receive for a single projectile. Unblockable Hellfire isn't as guaranteed as it once was in the other 3D games, but like all unblockables in Armageddon, using a combo breaker while you're airborne grants a free Hellfire for guaranteed damage, and it is disgusting. Scorpion doesn't really use the infamous air infinites, but he doesn't need to. This character gets super high practical damage without having to exploit the air loops. All of his damage comes from cool-looking combos that are far easier to perform than they look. And that really is the magic of Scorpion in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Everything about him is easy to perform, but oh so effective at playing the meta. Great pressure, great buttons, high damage, very little counterplay. Scorpion does what he wants, and you just kinda have to deal with it. Armageddon Scorpion is no joke. One of the easiest top tiers to play in any fighting game. Mark my words. Mortal Kombat X is a wild ride. It was super stressful to compete in back in the day, in my opinion, and it was mostly due to just how much broken stuff was in the game, especially with the popular characters that you fought against all the time, whether that was online or offline. The game is fun as hell though, and I think that's one thing that's going to stay with it forever. Just pick a character and a variation you like and go absolutely nuts for a few rounds. It's a real riot to get a hold of. One character in particular who stands out as a broken example is one of the more remembered DLC characters, Tremor, who had 3 fantastic variations and still to this day is an absolute menace in competition. Some could even say more so, actually, as the game has had more time to develop now, and he is still an absolute machine. The main variation to focus on here, and the most popular, is Crystalline. Now, I have covered this variation in detail on the channel before, but let me give you a quick refresher. This variation is mostly about the ability to flex and gain a unique state of armor. Now, if you meter burn this, you actually take 0 damage on the hit that the armor takes, but Tremor does keep all of the universal moves, which includes the ground pound, the projectiles, all of the incredible plus frames that the regular and meter burn moves will provide, but you add this armored state on top, and even when you finally find an opening on defense, Tremor is not only in a safe position, but sometimes one that is actually beneficial to him, as it's not a regular hit, it's a unique animation that the armor takes specifically. Mix-ups into low shot, mix-ups into plus on block but comboable situations, any and every knockdown being a free armor recharge into Lord knows what happens next. Crystalline is a character that many a top-level MKX player, especially these days, will keep in their back pocket, because it is just so good, so overwhelming, that it's a really scary character to bring out in a pinch, and the competitive success of this character very much speaks for itself. The ability to apply everything about MKX pressure, whether it's mix-ups or plus frames, is heavily improved due to the armored state that Crystalline provides, and it can absolutely steamroll in some matchups if your character doesn't have an answer for it. Tremor is used in this video because, in my opinion, and the opinion of others, Crystalline is an inherently broken variation. Loads of fun to play, miserable to fight against. Oh my word, did somebody say miserable to play against? Then look no further than Kenshi in Mortal Kombat 9. This character is the undisputed number 2 in the game's tier list, losing only to Kabal in placing. But don't worry, we'll get to Kabal later down the line. When I think broken, I think of a character that simply does not allow you to play the game, and you're stuck fighting what they are non-stop enforcing because of such little counterplay. And for me, Kenshi is that character. Kenshi is without question one of the easiest top tiers to play, possibly in any MK game. He has the best zoning in the entire game because of how large and effortless it is. Yeah, Freddy has amazing zoning too, but Kenshi's moveset involves a shoulder push that is the size of him, and it comes out lightning fast. His moveset can genuinely be boiled down to just the shoulder alone because it has really fast recovery. It has amazing startup, and it sends full screen when it connects. But that isn't even the best bit. Enhanced shoulder charge is plus on block, where a meterless shoulder charge afterwards is guaranteed. Because of the speed and the fact that enhanced shoulder is armored, this move in so many ways is a complete get out of jail free card that makes you second guess your offense, because at literally any moment you could eat this and get sent full screen into the frankly brain dead zoning that Kenshi has to offer. The bizarre thing about Kenshi is that he has combo potential for days despite being the best zoner on the roster. One of his specials is a rising launcher, and with the rest of his moveset combined, his combo damage is more than generous, which will still result in full screen positioning at the end. Kenshi is non-stop armor, lightning fast zoning, everything of which sending you full screen anyway, really good combo damage, a completely and utterly bloated character overall. One that has some straight up unfair matchups against some characters that do not stand the slightest chance of beating him. This character was so broken that the MK9 Kenshi variation in MKX was rather hilariously called Balanced, but I, to this day, have no idea if that was a joke or something else. However, I do think it's hilarious. Mortal Kombat 4 had one distinct top tier that was a cut above everybody else, and her name was Tanya. I've gone over her in an episode of Competitive History before, but let me jog your memory, or just give you a little introduction if you haven't seen it yet. Normals and combo strings are fairly universal in MK4. Some animations might be a bit different, but the principle remains the same. It really is the special moves, and the weapon, in some cases, that will separate characters between good and weak. Tanya had some key moves in particular that gave her the power that she's known to have at the top of this game's tier list. The most extreme example being a drill kick that launches and is so fast that it can work off pretty much everything. It's a punish tool, a conversion tool, it can beat projectiles, it can anti-air, it can air-to-air, it pretty much does everything. In a game like MK4, which can be a little bit hit and run due to just how the game plays, this drill turning into a reliable combo whenever you land it is out of this world powerful. Those with good enough execution can turn this into a max damage combo reliably, and her other specials work as a no execution required combo ender. Couple this with a very good projectile game, and the fact that her weapon in itself is a projectile too, Tanya has extreme threat everywhere on screen. A final note that makes Tanya a more broken character, as well as being a top tier one, is that she is tiny, so she's harder to hit. She's more versatile, and in games like these, smaller characters tend to be harder to combo as well. But there are no drawbacks to this. She has the same combo options as everyone else, but tons more thanks to the drill kick being pretty much the single most powerful special move in the game. This game may be a little bit more unknown in the high-level Mortal Kombat world, but as a newcomer, Tanya definitely made one hell of a first impression. And finally, the game that began a reputation for Kabal, a character who in the history of Mortal Kombat has always been powerful, and the point of comparison started at a very high place indeed. It's Kabal in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Now, Kabal in UMK3 is the perfect character. He has everything. He has the following: an unbelievable projectile game, one that straight up invalidates many characters and causes a nightmare for many others. Incredibly strong jabs, those that can be used for pressure in run jabs, going hand in hand with the rest of his toolkit. A launcher that starts off a kick string, making it a go-to option if somebody's trying to poke out of your run jab pressure. Launchers that have the ability to relaunch specific characters, with inputs so easy to perform that Kabal's relaunches are not exactly difficult to do. A Nomad Dash that is so fast it works as a reversal, a wake-up, and a character-specific punishing tool. Seriously, this move is the bane of many a new Ultimate MK3 player because you have to just print it into your brain early that you must always be ready for it. A throw that creates a good situation to pressure once again. Kabal has one of the stronger throws in the game, in fact. You're hard-pressed to find something this character can't do perfectly, and throughout competitive Ultimate MK3, there has sometimes been a discussion over who really is the best. Is it Kabal or Human Smoke? The fact is, it is the sheer existence of Instant Air Gas Blast that pushes Kabal into that #1 spot. The input for Instant Air Gas Blast really isn't as difficult as some people may say it is, in my opinion, and with a little practice, you can machine gun these like nobody's business. But they come out so low to the ground, and they recover so fast, that so many characters cannot play the game against Kabal in any way. If you finally get within fighting distance after dealing with a barrage of projectiles, you have to worry about a full combo Nomad Dash, which can punish, anti-air, anti-cross-up. I mean, the odds are definitely in Kabal's favor every single time. And with a character this good, who's been top tier in this game for over 20 years, you kinda knew he was gonna be a problem. When you think broken, Kabal comes to mind. Be it MK9 or Ultimate MK3, this character has an incredible reputation for very, very broken stuff. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this little MK history lesson. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and maybe even support my Patreon if you want to go the extra mile. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.